they can join our personal development table so that they can continue with the lessons there. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tracy. I just want to wrap up a bit, and because most of the points that we wanted to discuss, I think Michael, Javier, and the other presentations, the bits that I have done, and Julius, that you have received different aspects of our work, plus the description of what you do in normal conditions. We try to, at the same time, work with ourselves, trying to overcome the traces of violence that we can recognize in ourselves, trying to overcome our contradictions, that is, the thinking in one direction, the feeling in another direction, and doing in another direction, and giving coherence to everything that we do, at the same time to communicate these experiences, because that is our main source of reference, our internal experience. We take the books and we take the teachings and we take the experiences of our friends and we take all the other references as an orientation, but we pay fundamental attention to our own internal experience and understanding. If what the things that are suggested and proposed and the ideas that are shared are real, are the truth, you will observe changes within yourself. And that is the most important thing, because it's that change what will orientate in the following steps. I think this week we have been discussing, at least from my viewpoint, I know because we discussed before with Javier that he would be developing aspects of our syllabus, of aspects of the doctrine, and so we didn't overlap. And we have been discussing the inner look and the healing of suffering, that is the founding speech by Zeno that sets up in a sort of condensed manner the main orientations of all our work, of what is universalist humanism. But of course, that initial speech in the following years was developing as a body of doctrine, because sometimes what was mentioned in a sentence, and later on it becomes a whole theory, almost a treatise or a full conference, etc. Plus lots of practices of detection and overcoming. Because if we cannot change something that we cannot identify in ourselves, and we have to understand, if we identify something in ourselves, what do we need to change and why do we need to change it? So again, we take the impulse of our own experience to move forward. So we generate that energy within ourselves. And that is the characteristic manner in which we humanists work. And also the people who are more advanced in any system of practices or in any particular endeavor within the big, large scope of humanism is always ready to teach others what we do and how we do it and how we can perfect it. For example, yesterday you had the possibility of listening to the experience of Presenza. Some of the founders of Presenza were present there. And then you heard about nonviolent journalism. And nonviolent journalism has, by the people who have been practicing for the last 15 years, has transformed in manuals, in books, in material of study, in seminars, etc. So if you are interested in that line of work towards the environment, basically because we have to inform the general public what is it we are doing, we humanists, and you want to become one of the contributors or journalists of Presenza, you will have the chance to participate in condensed courses that will guide you step by step what is necessary to do. And the same thing will happen if you are interested in some of the works in the ground of the forum. For example, I am participating more actively in the forum. That is an environment of discussion and experience and communication of this experience with the general public that was started over 30 years ago in the times of the big political, social transformations of Russia, we from South America and from the Humanist International, that was a social and political entity that congregated humanist parties that we had formed at the time to promote in the social political environment the ideas of humanism. When Russia produced a big transformation called perestroika, and dissolving the party, the Communist Party, that was a sort of monolithic party and that reduced the freedom of society in general into a more social, democratic and open system that they call perestroika. And we found very interesting to get to know perestroika, and we got established contact with them. And for many years, we have been working very closely with the academy in Russia. And that was in that context that we originated the forum. The forum is an open environment of discussion of all the fundamental problems that were affecting different parts of the world. We are talking of 1992, 1993, and at the same time that affected Russian society, in order to learn and to gain experience and to share these very interesting processes. And for many years then we have been developing forums in different parts of the world. But now, because of the situation of big interconnectivity that exists in the world these days, and the profound crisis that is exploding with different characteristics in different countries, the big geopolitical changes that are taking place, where, for example, you have heard about the appearances of BRICS, countries that are looking for a multipolar world, where each country and each nationality gets a place and is respected and is treated like equals, against the monopolar world, that is the world of the European powers, the Western powers, and the United States, that is collapsing. It's collapsing because it has failed in all its endeavors. And people in different latitudes are taking a different orientation, are pushing for a multipolar world. That are the BRICS, that are South Africa and Brazil and India and China and Russia. And more countries are joining that organization of BRICS. And the result is that the world is changing its axis, its balance, and that is creating lots of conflicts. You know, the world, the war of NATO and Ukraine on the one hand, and then the war of Israel in the Middle East against Gaza. They want to take Gaza, they want to take the territory of the Palestinians, and even they have instigated perhaps different situations of terrorism that has justified the military occupation of Gaza. And they have committed huge genocides, and this is happening even at this particular time. And the world is, absolutely perplexed and extremely worried. And now all the countries are going to get another vote in unison in the United Nations to force, one way or another, or pressurize Israel to stop this genocide in Gaza. So that world that is around us, more interconnected every day, is obviously affecting the manner in which we in all countries are working and are reacting. And we humanists feel that there is an enormous urgency to prepare people, to qualify people about what we think are the values that need to prevail in this new world that is developing. And we think that they are the values of humanism that Tracy just a minute back synthesized through one of our principles of action that says, treat others as you like to be treated. That is called the golden rule. This golden rule has been present in the core of all the great civilizations in human history, East and West and Central, everywhere. And this seems to be a system of values that tends to emphasize the importance of the human being and the fundamental human rights. Even in the Declaration of Human Rights of the United Nations, approved in 1948, you can see how they are consecrated into a number of principles, of articles that defend precisely these viewpoints. But of course, these things get forgotten. Governments, because of the quest of power and dominance, and the business of weapons and all the manipulation of money, end up abusing the human rights of people, rejecting it, neglecting them, and then people, as a result, are in a situation of great poverty and great inattendance, if you want. And we want to rectify all these type of situations and putting the values straight. And because of that, coming to the topic of the forum, we have made the forum, the Universalist Humanist Forum, we have made it permanent. And now we are creating different tables that we call thematic tables, where people, according to their interests, can sit together, can fix a calendar, and can start to work, exchanging their own experience and understanding, or investigating in matters that they don't fully know, in order to find solutions that represent the spirit of humanism into areas that before were left to think tanks or to so-called specialized groups in so-called specialist universities, wherever they arrived to conclusions that were not in the best interest of the human being, and where the big problems that affect us all were not resolved. On the contrary, compound, made more complicated. So these are activities that, amongst many others, we are developing, and where we are going to continue the work of this seminar that you have had now in Eldoret for a week. We will continue through the different tables of the forum. So we expect that we are going, those of you who want to go deeper into some of these studies and theory, you will be able to join in the different thematic tables, depending on what your interests are. There are two tables that are in confluence here that are coincided fundamentally. One is gender violence, that you know that topic because you have been discussing it during these days. And the other one is internal development or internal work that has just been formulated but will start work starting from next week. And we have to get organized. Probably will be from the beginning of the week that we will check everyone that has registered in that one, and we'll inform when we intend to have the first meeting to define our program of work. And will be flexible, will be in a way that can accommodate the interests or the time tables of different countries or regions. And we will start from there. But we need to listen to what are your preferences and what are your main interests. So that is what I want to say. I don't think that I need to take much more time. You know what the topics are that we have been considering during this week. The theoretical materials that I mentioned, the inner look, and the healing of suffering as doctrinary text. And then we have emphasized what areas in which we have to work, because we emphasize the importance of the force, the energy, that is a psychophysical force that operates in all the different levels of our psyche, and that where we can control, if we have management of the force, if we have the capacity to operate over it, we have the possibility of producing important changes within ourselves. Another one is of course, the valid action. And about the valid action, you have heard the principles of valid action and the manners of working with it, and how in the proportion that you apply those principles of valid action, you will be able to overcome contradictions, and you will become more aware of these contradictions, and your life will start to change course, because you will avoid situations that create suffering in our day-to-day lives. Another aspect that is very important is, of course, to learn to manage your attention. because that will help you to become aware of your reveling. That is an activity absolutely mechanical because we have no control over it, that tends to divert the direction of our actions in a day-to-day basis, and at the same time to pump lots of fantasies into our mind that creates suffering. Suffering, you know, by definition, that is a psychological aspect of the internal conflicts that we have, and is differentiated from the physical pain. That is something that we can control thanks to the progress of science and medical knowledge and the organization of society that can provide the services that we require in that direction. But there is a component of our suffering that is strictly mental. And there is where the philosophy of universalist humanism is very strong, is very clear, and has lots of technologies, techniques, and practices that can help to approach and go tackling and dissolving that mental suffering. This is the main cause of distress in all of us. And we have to study then our reveries, and that will be treated in the course of self-liberation. That is one of the parts of the programs that we are going to do in personal development or internal development. And just as by the way, let's say in reveries, what is very difficult to control is that there are, on the one hand, there are images, mental images that all the time are interfering and distracting our mind. But on the other hand, there is a component that is an emotional climate, that is a background, is like the fog that really is tainting everything that crosses our mind. And the reveries, precisely, they tend to stick to us, and they are very powerful and very influential, because that component, that emotional tone that is the background, is really what has the capacity of attracting and almost hypnotizing the consciousness. And so there is a manner of looking at this type of mental phenomena that will be one of the central points of activity of our internal work that we are going to study with closer attention from the next week. So there are several points of action, not only description of the difficulties that we suffer, but emphasizing the points of action that we have available to us to overcome step by step those difficulties. Well, that is what I wanted to say, and to thank you very much for the opportunity to get in touch and to listen to what you are doing, how you are doing. I think has been a wonderful experience, and we'll continue in the weeks and months to come, expanding our work in all the different countries where you have access and amongst ourselves.
Thank you so much, Antonio.
Peace, force,
and joy. Peace, and joy.
And nice to see you, Javier and Maureen and Connie. Okay, we are now. Okay, today we were having. They were showing us a lesson how they treat water in a very nice way with chlorine. And I took a video, and we will make a report. We want to publish it in Presenza.
There you have a top editor. Tell him.
Yeah. And now we will do with all the kids the ceremony of protection. And after that, everybody will go home and put on their best clothes, and we will have a dinner party and celebrate and finish the seminar.
Good. So Julius and Michael are not coming now.
No, they're not on tonight.
Yeah, they're on tonight.
No, you are the last one now. Then it's protection, and then it's party.
Great.
Party.
So thank you so much for joining and taking part. We are so happy. Yeah, or you
Thank
can join.
you.
You can what's the ceremony?
Yeah, we can participate in protection or not. I would like to see it.
Yeah, please do. Okay, where is Atot? Atot.
I thought she was going to town. We need to replace somebody else.
Okay. How about Rose?
Maybe Rose. Yeah.
Because we are using a book.
Yeah.
Rose,
Because we are using your book.
Let me show you. This will be this. One will assist. Will be this.
So hii part ingine hawa watoto unaona hapa, hao ndio the future humanists. So tunataka sisi wote tuwaombe na tuweke energy. So sisi tutawafundisha vile tunaombeanga watoto wa humanists. Na wewe kama ni pastor, nyosha tu mkono yako na useme maneno mazuri kwa watoto na teacher yao. Wewe kama Mkristo na uko na watoto nyumbani, utanyosha tu mkono na useme maneno mzuri vya watoto. Sawa? Sisi tuwapatie energy na pia tukikuwa hapa tutawawishia maisha mazuri. Wawe na a brighter future. Kwa sababu hawa ndio kanisa na hawa ndio humanists. Sisi tunakuwa lakini lazima tuwache watu waendeleza, si ndio? Kama huyo Petrus hangenilea singefika hapa, si ndio? Angesema huyo ni mtoto acha nimwache. Lakini ali make sure amenifikisha mpaka penye nimefika, si ndio? So hata hawa hivyo. That's why umeona leo tulianza nao na tunamaliza nao. Na sasa tutakuwa na hiyo humanist education na humanist club ya watoto. Na tutaanza na hii kanisa yetu na hawa watoto wanaokuwa. So these are our children. They are excited. We started with them and we are finishing with them. So they are here, so we are about to begin. We are just waiting for Ragnar.
So we don't see much.
Ragnar, you could stand there because people are not even people. If people are watching from home, they want to see what we are doing.
So I think Rose, you're going to stand here. Rose stand somewhere there. Yeah. And Tracy
For me, I'll sit here.
We are all three here. All three of us. Okay, I want to welcome you here for this ceremony that we want to do. And it is it's called protection, and it is to give all of us opportunity to take care of all these kids together. It will explain itself mostly, and I want to ask Tracy to start.
Amesema kuwa hii kitu tunafanya inaitwa protection. Protection kwa Kiswahili inaitwa ulinzi wa watoto. Na sisi wote hapa tuko na watoto. Lakini hao watoto kwa sababu sisi tumewachukua kama wetu, tunataka pia sisi kuwapatia ulinzi na tunataka kila mtu hapa akiwa hapa awapatie ulinzi kwa sababu wameanza na sisi na tunamaliza nao. Kwa hivyo nitasoma section ya kwanza. Nitasoma kwa Kizungu na niseme kwa Kiswahili. This ceremony may be carried out for an individual or a group. Hii kitu tunafanya inaweza kufanywa na mtu mmoja ama kikundi vile tuko hivi. Everyone is standing. Mnafahamu kwa mmesimama nyinyi wakubwa. Everyone is standing. Kwa sababu nyinyi ndio mnabariki watoto. The officiant ni mimi and the assistant are facing the children. Tunaangalia watoto who are surrounded by the other participants. Nyinyi sasa.
The purpose of this ceremony is to give children the opportunity to participate in the community.
Hii kitu tunafanya hivi na vile tunaombea, tunataka kuwafungua akili ili waweze pia kushiriki kwa vitu ambazo zinafanyika kwa kijamii ama kwa community yetu.
Since ancient times, children have been the focus of ceremonies.
Na kutoka jadi, watoto ndio walikuwa wanapewa kipaumbele kwa vitu kama hizi za sherehe.
Such as naming and baptism.
Na watoto wengi walikuwa kwanza wanapewa ile wanaalikwa kwa sherehe ya kupewa majina ama kutajwa majina kulingana na watu wa jamii.
Such ceremonies organize a change in a person's situation in their stage of life.
Na pia kutaja watoto na kusema maneno mazuri huwa inabadilisha vile mtoto anakuwa. Ile jina tunampatia ama ile baraka yenye nyinyi mnanena ndio itafanya huyu mtoto akue na maisha mazuri.
There are today and have been long civil formalities that record the date and place of birth and other information related to child.
Na siku hizi tumeona pia kila mtoto ako na cheti ambacho kinaonyesha pahali alizaliwa na vile yeye alipewa jina lake.
However, the spiritual transcendence that accompanies a ceremony of this kind has nothing to do with the code of formalities or written records.
Na tukiangalia hizo majina wameitwa, lakini ukienda kwa kiroho ndani, hiyo majina huwa iko na sababu. Kwa hivyo hatuwezi sema ati kwa sababu mtu amepewa cheti ama hiyo birth certificate itabeba uzito. Ile kitu itabeba uzito ni ile jina na roho iko nyuma yake.
Rather, it is connected to the joy of the parents and the community when the children are introduced publicly.
Na ni vizuri kama tunawabariki, itakuwa furaha kwa wazazi kwa sababu watasikia na watajua kuwa watoto wao wamebarikiwa na maisha mazuri na pia njia nzuri.
This is a ceremony through which the status of the children change as they become participants in the community that commits to caring for them should unfortunate events leave them unprotected.
Na hii itasaidia watoto vile wanakuwa kwa sababu watakuwa kila saa, kila kitu tunafanya watashiriki kwa kijamii na akili yao itafunguka na hawatafikiria vile watoto wengine huwa wanafikiria.
This ceremony is a call for the protection of these children and the community welcomes them as new daughters and sons.
Na hawa watoto kutoka leo, kila mtu mwenye ako hapa awaite kama wana wao. Huyu awe mtoto wako wa kike na mtoto wako wa kiume. Usiache mtoto yote hapa kwa sababu si wako. Kwa sasa hivi leo umesimama hapa, kila mtoto hapa ni wako. Jukumu lao na kila kitu maisha yao ni wewe. We ask for protection for these children. Tunauliza kwa ulinzi kwa hawa watoto. Kila mtu aseme tu kitu kwa roho.
We welcome them with joy and commit ourselves to their protection.
Na sisi vile tumetaja tunawakaribisha kwa furaha na sisi wote tunajipatia kiwango cha kuwatetea kama watoto wetu. We extend our best wishes of peace and joy for all. Tunaelekea maneno yetu ya amani na furaha kwa hao watoto kwa maisha yao. Amen. Na watoto simameni. Sisi kama vile tumejitolea, sisi kwa Wakenya wanasemanga godmother and godfather. Sasa mimi naruhusu ni godmother, ni godfather. Sasa tutaenda tukiwekelea mkono na tukiwatajia maneno mazuri. Sawa? Sawa? Haya. Ubarikiwe. Mungu akujalie, ubarikiwe. Mungu akujalie, ubarikiwe. Ubarikiwe. Ubarikiwe, Mungu akujalie, ubarikiwe. Ubarikiwe. Yoyote utaitisha kwa hii maisha, Mungu akupee. Usiteseke na school fees. Usiteseke na shida. Laana za ukoo tumekataa.
Katika jina la Yesu.
Umaskini wa ukoo tumekataa.
Katika jina la Yesu.
Kutofunga ndoa tumekataa.
Katika jina la Yesu.
Tabia mbaya ambazo haziko tumekataa.
Katika jina la Yesu.
Ufuate Biblia na upate Injili na ukue chanzo na kielelezo kwa jamii yenu.
Katika jina la Yesu.
Barikiwa. Yote unaitisha katika jina la Yesu.
Katika jina la Yesu.
Ugonjwa tumekataa na laana za ukoo. Barikiwe.
Amen.
Mungu awe nawe, awe mwanamke ambaye hapo na hekima, na wewe uwe kielelezo na kiongozi katika hii nchi. Amen. Bariki. Mungu anakupenda kwa sababu blessed.
Amen.
Blessed. You're blessed. So we all say for these kids, peace,
Force and joy. Again. Peace, force and joy.
Wanyinyi watoto, children,
The children. Peace, force and joy.
again,
Peace, force and joy. Yay!
Okay, now you tell me what is next. You will go
So
change.
you break. Everybody should come in a dinner dress. We're going to have our dinner party right now. And thank you for coming. Kids, stay there.
Thank you so much. I
There is
will,
a tent that has been made outside.
will stop the recording now
So watoto,
and
check